Greetings everyone. Today I welcome all of you to the Hall of Fame series where we uncover the extraordinary. Here we have with us a titan in the world of international tax and transfer pricing. With a career spanning over 2 decades, he did not just navigate but dominated the realms of corporate strategy. Let's dive into the insights of a seasoned professional and industry luminary, one and only Mr. Suchint Majmudar. Thank you so much, Mr. Suchin. It is a great opportunity to have you here on this platform with us. So I would like to talk about the point of commonality between you and all of us, which is Christ University. So you were here in Christ University in your 90s. How was it like back then? Did it have that same reputation of being strict and disciplinary even at that point of time?
So I joined Rice College as it was then in 1991. Actually, I was from 1991 to 1994. And when I finished my graduation department, I had put out that I would make the admission list simply because I thought my marks were good. And I was early a bit flustered when I didn't find my name on the list. And then there was a meeting with Kallarakkal, who was then the principal, and he said that we normally are very averse to taking students from certain schools because we think that they are not the elements we would like to have. And then it was interesting because we sort of had to give, our parents had to give some kind of assurance that I could be a secondary student. But I think really at the time, why I say this is that at the time, Rice College was a very different place. It certainly didn't have any of the reputation that it has today. And it was one where if I would go into the college, then most people around me, which is essentially friends of my parents from the school, really wonder as to why I chose this institution. Because it didn't have the brand, it didn't have the quality, reputation and quality, it didn't have the student pedigree that is there today. And there is, and I want to say this because there is an expression that Margaret Mead uses, which is never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And I think that there's an inflection point that happened in 91, 94, up the early 90s, which turned around significantly. And some of these were just circumstantial, some of them were by design. For instance, the approaches that and career implemented, which were on intelligence and discipline and focus on middle class, and to also make us remark the taking away at that point in time of a sense of democratization. I call this sort of the perestroika movement and also the Tiananmen Square movement as well. Is I think what caused the design elements of the institution to be here. And then you had some circumstances, you had some serendipitous events. So that particular year in 1991 to 92 was when 1993, certainly between 91 and 93 was when the university topper in commerce was from Rice College, and then it was also the second rank of was also from Rice College. And suddenly that sort of woke everybody up, because then it was like, wow, this is a place to go to, because if they produce the top rankers in the state, now that's saying a lot. I mean, top rankers by a lot. I mean, it would be like the topper got something in the region of 99.6% or so. So these like a couple of marks that were lost in the activator. That was largely to do with the combination of commerce accounts, maths and statistics. I think that just that combination was enough to score a lot of points. point is therefore Summit Substances that was the hockey stick inflection moment. From that point on, everything sort of worked out in a manner that was in a path of dependency, and therefore everything got aligned so that the elements of discipline, academic rigor, the quality of students that applied, the nature of the festivals that were then celebrated in the campus, all of that I think changed.
It's actually great to hear from where the university sort of started off and now where it has reached to a position where it is, I think it is on a 7th ranking all over India for commerce related courses. So it's a moment of great pride as well. And moving on to the next question. Sir, you have completed your CS, CMA and CA qualification along with doing an advanced program in MBA at IIM. How do you think your education shaped your journey and shaped your course of life altogether?
Well, I owe it to a very early conversation, and again, I think one has to try and be aware of movements like these early on, where you are able to meet with and exchange thoughts with some very learned people who have decades of experience behind them when you are at a very recent stage of your career. So I was fortunate to have been introduced to a couple of such individuals. One of them was, for instance, the company secretary of National Student Line at the time. There was another individual who was another company secretary of a large chemical organization. And this happened to me about the 11th or 12th standard. And those conversations in some sense set a tone for what I would want to do on my way of a pathway. So we spoke about doing a CA as opposed to an MBA. We spoke about what the benefits are between what attributes would be required for a company secretary and how a costing qualification differs from a chartered accountancy qualification. But I think that those conversations in some sense showed the shining path, as it were, which then I just had to follow through. And then the advanced management program that was that I was doing many years later was more as a build-up to what I thought would be a useful element to acquire around this domain awareness, given that the knowledge, the span of the lifetime or the half-life as it were of knowledge tends to decrease over a period of time, and therefore it was necessary to get myself acquainted with elements of strategy, business simplicity, leadership, and elements of marketing, things that I hadn't actually studied in the context of my prior technical education.
Right, so experience is the biggest educator of all times. And so I would personally like to ask you that as all of us are probably in our second year and final year, and we are at such crossroads where we don't know what to do with our careers. And I think personally I went through the same dilemma that whether I should go for conventional options of conventional career options or should I do what I really want to do. So how do you navigate, like how would you recommend students to navigate between those conventional options as well as chasing your heart as well as doing what you're passionate about?
Well, I think there is this Venn diagram, and I'm trying to picture it in my head where it talks about what you're really good at, what you can get paid for, what your passion is, and it is what the society needs. And I think really what you're looking for is getting to the intersection of all of these. And that's your, you could call it your Iyer, you could call it your perfect landing spot. But I think that when you speak about following your heart, I think if you draw a broad construct of is that something that the society could do with, and is that something that you would be able to monetize? Is that something that you are able to develop skill sets in? Is it a skill? And will it be a sustainable skill that you can keep building on? I think these are some of those assets that you look to by following through. So it's not merely about saying, oh, I will do a professional course because it will land me a certain occupation, but it's more to do with saying that is it something that I find as my calling?
Right. So it's a mix and match between all these factors that we have to take care of while deciding a good career opportunity for us, for ourselves. So now that we are living in a digitized era, and we know that with interventions like AI, such as ChatGPT, the entire landscape of corporate world has changed. And with auditing being digitized to a maximum extent, and also the hiring opportunities for people, the employment opportunities, being a professional, how I want to know your opinion on how important it is for students like us to pursue professional certifications in the realm of the changing corporate landscape.
So I probably answer this in two parts. One, I'll take a stab at it and then I'll turn it over to you for some thoughts as well. Because I want to say that one of the things that is very fundamentally changing is the concept of half-life of knowledge, which I just alluded to. The fact that what you study today, the relevance of that is sharply dropping off. And so there's a cliff and that cliff is sort of approaching closer and closer. So as you think about it, even 5 years is a generation in some sense. And therefore what used to be at one point information for which clients would pay, that information today is all free and therefore clients don't value it as much. I think what clients still value is elements of judgment and trust. And those are in some sense perennial values. So when you speak of technology interventions, I think as much as possible, a career that has some adjacencies to technology, I think is useful, simply because they are going to be byproducts of our life. And while we may have come through a lot of our time with Excel, that's certainly not the case with you, because you will see a lot more nativity in some sense in the fact that there's a whole lot of more applications that are constantly at work and that many more layers in the technology stack as well that one should have to be conversant with. But at the same time, I think in some sense you're closer to the recruitment space, you're closer to the interplay between what the institution can provide and what the organization will require. And I'll probably turn it over to you to just comment on what you think about the role of technologies as you see it at these crossroads of as you transfer, as you sort of transition from academics to occupation.
I do feel that, just as you said, sir, that technology cannot overpower completely human capital. But then at the same point of time, in my personal opinion, I also feel that the basic foundational work is taken care largely by AI and technology such as ChatGPT. Because nowadays nobody wants to do that sort of foundational work in order to reach where a lot of professional luminaries are. So that is a one taken care by technology as such. And I'll talk about I can share an anecdote with you where I was in my high school, and my principal was giving a lecture about what career opportunities you should pursue, and there was a seminar regarding it, and she mentioned, no offense to anybody, but she mentioned that the traditional or the conventional methods or those professions over the down the line wouldn't be as needed in the society as much the non-conventional forms of career opportunities would be, like biotechnology, data analytics, and somebody who's proficient with CSS, HTML, Java. Those people are going to be more needed because as the world is going to be more digitized, we need people who could operate those sort of technologies rather than doing what those technologies can do at that point of time. But then it always leaves the room for contrary opinions because, as you said, that uh, the clientele needs judgment as well as expertise, which cannot be given by AI. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also that technology will keep evolving, and today the elements of judgment are perhaps not entirely in place. You've already seen autonomous vehicles that are making judgment calls. So that will also possibly keep evolving, but the point is that you're going to have hard skills, and those hard skills will more and more be susceptible to automation. But that doesn't mean that you do not know them, because in some sense those are the bedrock, but they are in some sense substitutable with machine skills. And then there are the soft skills, the elements of judgment and trust, as it were, maybe the ability to learn, the ability to interact with people, the emotional intelligence portion. And these are traits that come through years of interaction, experience, and diversity of environment. And therefore, I think it's going to get valued over time a lot more. Having said that, it also has to be complemented with the application of business-centric knowledge.
Right, right. We should guess towards something subjective, and I always struggle with this particular thing when it comes to university leadership positions. That what leadership is all about? Is it about uh, setting an example for your juniors about great work, or is it about how to get the work done, or a mixture of both? I mean, which one do you value more in order to be a good leader?
Yeah, so well, I should have said this at the beginning, but whatever I'm saying is really my own views, and they don't necessarily represent the views of any of the organizations that I've been associated with. But I did take some notes that I will refer to on this point. So I think when you think about getting the job done, so there's an element of skill over elegance, and that's something that as an organization we've been talking about it in principle which is that you want to move fast and get things done, partly because everyone is moving at a faster pace than we used to move in the past. So speed over elegance is one stream of thought, or one school of thought, or one school of practice, which is a form that should be adopted because it is what is consistent with businesses that are having to make decisions and change and adapt in ways that they haven't done. For example, you think about how companies had to reorganize their procurement and their sales when COVID hit very, very suddenly. Right? So we think about geopolitical constructs and how the Suez Canal got blocked for various reasons, and then again negotiation ways. So that's spillover elegance. And then there is the matter of things like thinking fast and slow, the ability to be as technically correct in the circumstances based on the ability to assess risk. And this is where you apply, as Daniel Kahneman says, there are elements of when can you think fast, when elements are those that do not require think overly greater than normal investment in the upside or the downside of risk. And when you have to think slow, and that's when you have to make deliberate decisions that can impact long-term implications. And so much of this is associated with saying that if I take a decision today, then how is that decision going to play out over the next 7-8 years? Does it have longer-term implications? So I think it's on the one hand you want to adopt spillover elements, but remember also that you're also in the stage of mass customization. So it's not also the case that if I dish out advice, it can be spelling error. Now that's hygiene, right? So you have to take care of hygiene and make sure because of technology interventions, you're definitely going to be when you talk about spillover elements, the elements of hygiene have to be embedded in the elements. So we cannot say that ways and means that would compromise basic quality. But like I said, it's also about raising the bar each time so that you're performing work of a higher order, higher quality of problems that are being solved, which means that you're constantly training people to be able to solve for more complexity and to be able to solve for more dimensions. And that requires elements of working teamwork because you want to work with multidisciplinary teams. And also it requires multi-geographical approaches, multi-industry approaches. So I think it's a behavioral leadership skill that has to reach both levels. Now to again take the lighting, there is this concept that you can be out of 3 factors, which is being fast, being quality conscious, and being cost effective. You can only manage 2 of 3 at any given time. It's extremely rare to see all the 3 being able to be handled, but there's probably one exception to that, and that was the Mangalyaan project at the ISP project. And it's like one in a million projects that have the ability to be extremely cost effective, extremely fast. When I say fast, means not by speed alone, but by from start to finish of the project, including the launch, and then at the same time, doing that in the first attempt. So I think those are like 1 in a million cases. Then, but it's those who SRO are just really able to achieve 1 with 3 at once. But otherwise, you always tend to. It's either fast and cost conscious, or it's quality conscious and fast, but it's hard to get from balance of these 3 perfect. But if you could do that, then that's the best. That's the approach.
Those were some wonderful insights, sir. So we're transitioning towards a very fun-filled segment called the rapid fire round, and I expect the answers to be rapid and full of fire. So let's begin with it. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and what would you ask them?
Sardar Patel. And I say this because there's so much that is not known about the integration of states. We learn for 400 years of Mughal civilization, but we've not spent enough time on the 3 years of the Indian integration.
Right. So, if you could implement one change in the corporate world overnight, what it would be?
Volunteering. I think it's important that while everyone has a CSR carve out by way of contribution, there isn't enough activity that happens with respect to implementing purpose, and therefore making volunteering part of every corporate's charter.
What's your favorite book or podcast that you've read or listened to recently?
The book would be Miracles of the Nanya General Store by Higashino, and the podcast would be After Hours, which is by Harvard Business School.
What's your favorite corporate jargon or buzzword that you love to use?
Go to market, or just RPDMs, seize the day, just do it. But mostly go to market.
If you could have a billboard with any message on it, what would it say?
I think something similar, which is just show up. Show up, seize the day, and just do it.
What do you believe is true even though you can't prove it?
Karma or what goes around comes around.
Very well, sir. Thank you so much for this segment. Thank you so much for being so cooperative with all of us. It was a pleasure having you with all of us. And as the motto of Hall of Fame series is Uncover the Extraordinary, your journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. And we are really grateful for your presence and for your support throughout this initiative. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. As part of the legacy that I would like to leave behind. So, therefore, being part of this institution is just a very small way of doing that.
Thank you. Now that the interview is over, we'll be opening the floor for questions.
Introduce myself. I'm a first year, and so are a lot of us here. And we are pursuing a lot of professional courses, be it CA, CMA, whatever. But we are pretty sure that at the end of 3 years, we have something in hand that would prove us good enough to be recruited into some sort of institution. So will thousands of others. So what supposedly sets us apart during the talent acquisition process? So what should we have? What should we incorporate in ourselves to make sure that we set a separate standard on its own?
I think there are when we look at people, especially as we go through hiring processes, we look at the attributes, skills, and knowledge. Now, what you think of is the knowledge element. The knowledge element tends to be more monochromatic, which is that's a given. That's something that everybody gets nowadays because it just may be slightly different values of knowledge, but knowledge is like the common. What is different is attitude and skill, and in the more and both these elements of attitude and skill are very person-centered. They're dependent on your experiences. They're dependent on your ambitions. They're dependent on what kind of environment you get exposed to, or you choose to get exposed to. So much depends on these two elements, and that in a way differentiates one individual from the other. So the more diverse experiences and the more diverse skills you have that can be employed. So if you talk about team-based ability to work in teams, the ability to envision the end outcome and drive that towards a certain objective, skills that are in the nature of being able to, for instance, work with different forms of technologies. Those I think are really, or I think those skills that will make a difference.
Sir, I'd like to be completely honest now. With a hectic schedule in a college like Christ, gives us very limited scope for experience. I think we don't have that much time for internships. So how do we enhance our experience with such a hectic schedule? That's what I'd like to ask.
Well, I don't think the intention is always that it is to result in an internship, but it could be if associated with maybe uh, in one of the NGOs and spend maybe 2 volunteering hours a week. Uh, so, or you cultivate a group, a hobby group, and spend time with them again to diversify your so, social network. That's really what I'm talking about.
All right. For the second question, I have read in recent articles that there is a inclining corporate trend towards inclusivity, diversity, and equity. So, how do corporates go about it? Because a lot of newspapers allege that it's merely for the sake of, not for the sake of humaneness, but rather for profitability and things like that. It's doing smart business, they say. So, how do we view all of that in corporate culture?
There is so if I speak of maybe the lowest common denominator is gender equality and diversity. I think speaking of most organizations that I've worked in, uh, the at the threshold, at the bottom of the pyramid, the gender diversity is pretty much equitable. But where it starts to get suffocated is the middle management level, when a lot of people, women tend to leave for various family reasons. I think our intention is uh, very purposefully trying to salvage their careers so that they stay within the workforce, or at least connected to the workforce, so that after a period of hiatus they need to come back. I think fostering that element of diversity is what matters. And again, diversity also extends to differently able people, people who are of other genders. So that's the other focus that we have here as well.
All right. There's also a second part to this question. So basically, I've heard a lot of people tell that the agenda actually hampers the corporate efficiency and effectiveness. And from what you're saying, I believe it does hamper it a lot. So how do you go about dealing with all of this?
I think it may need to do with having enough, I would say, culture in the organization to support people during the times that they are in difficulty. Now, this is largely a form of uh, the expression that culture is strategy for breakfast, and therefore, so much of this has to do with working in an organization that's more supportive, just to get it, so that if people have extended periods of time where they have to be away, then you're able to support them by giving them the latitude and of course having some level of action.
So you're supporting the entire or the volunteers or the workers in the organization in order to drive the organization forward. So that's the basic approach that all corporates take towards this.
No, I'm not speaking of all corporate, but I'm speaking of what I can speak for, which is companies that I usually part of, or that try and basically that I try and associate with or do clients.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for the interview today. So I just wanted to know, so say when you go out for, like as a company, when you come for placements, say for example, there are two students. One is one has done an internship in a big four, like EY or KPMG, and there's another one who has just worked, doesn't have a lot of experience and has worked in a startup. So as a company, when you recruit students, what are the criteria or what qualities do the students need to have, for them to like clear the interview or say to get placed in companies like Deloitte, KPMG or any other big fours? So does the summer internship like really matter, or the place and the company that you work in matters? Just want to know that.
See, I think there is, it is well known that whatever skill you seek to acquire in the course of either 1 year, it's too short a period to acquire that skill. Some of these skills that allow for elements of trust and elements of decision making take several years in the making. But however, I think what counts, at least at the initial stages, is how flexible are you, how much are you able to change course when confronted with adversity. And so, I think what I would want to do is, when I speak to people, I try and get from them what their experiences have been as opposed to what the knowledge is. And therefore, more they're able to demonstrate that they have the ability to course correct or shift gears in when there are situations that or have find workarounds, then those would be the kind of skills that one will look for. I think also just the kind of people that they work with. Is it team-based versus individual? I think team-based again tends to score higher simply because you're able to accomplish more as a team than you are as an individual.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for the interview. You spoke about the multi-dimensional work environment and how non-GSP can serve us all use as representative for a CEO or those in the board of directors. I just want to ask, what do you think bachelor's or university students should bring forward some requisites that they should bring upon so that they can work in this dynamic environment and multi-dimensional?
Sorry, could you repeat the last part of your question? I didn't quite get it.
So I just wanted to know what are some requisites that university students or graduates should build upon to work in this multi-dimensional and dynamic environment.
See, I think if you consider, and this was part of the training reference, that what are the three big problems confronting business leaders today? I think it's to do with one, climate and sustainability. Second, to do with technology. And the third is to do with geopolitics and talent and people. And I think when you speak of what kind of attributes or what kind of requisites you should build, I would say any ones that touch upon these elements are useful because they allow you to build much more closer connections with what businesses are likely to require in times to come. So if you can be associated with a cause that has to do with environment or that has to do with social responsibility, or if you can be associated with or build up skills around being able to deftly navigate through different technologies and know how to handle let's say, just different forms of software, even if it is meaning that you learn from ChatGPT apply, but as long as you know where to go to and learn a lot more on your own, or for that matter, being able to relate to people of different views and try and build enough levels of trust and understand where they are coming from and what their objectives are. I think those are some of those requisites which you wouldn't find in textbooks and all.
Good morning, sir. So you mentioned you cleared your CA, CS, and even attended IM, which is a great thing. So my question is, how young generation or us can actually have the perseverance? Because considering we do a lot of procrastination and our attention span is very short. So what's your take on that?
It's a very tough question because I think I have to deal with these problems honestly. And I'm not a digital native, so I didn't have to deal to address this difficulty. But I think it's one that I see in my son who is now doing his standard exams, and I think you just have to keep focus at the core of your being, and you have to say that what's your ambition, what's your aspiration, what is your immediate goal, and most of the times your goal might be, as far as education is concerned, it's probably more immediate, as far as career is concerned, it's probably more intermediate. But what are those goals, and then drive towards those goals and do what you need to do in order to reach those goals. And I don't mean take a sacrifice for like a digital detox if that's not called for, but I think you do have to keep determination as being very central, more central perhaps than it used to be in the past.
So now we come towards the end of the discussion, towards the end of the interview, and not going by the conventional way, but yeah, a little vote of thanks to the entire team for showing their incredible effort. To Kanish spearheading the entire logistics, as well as the media department to even make the last minute changes that I asked them for. And to the participants, to the audience, thank you so much.